Imagine living under a constant gray cloud, a fog in your brain that no one else can see. You're not just sad, you feel broken, disconnected from your own life and the people you love. This was the world for Thomas, a 71-year-old grandfather who felt a deep, unexplainable anxiety every single day. It was a crushing weight on his chest, a constant hum of worry that stole his joy. Doctors gave him pills. They told him it was just aging. But Thomas knew something else was terribly wrong. The secret to his suffering wasn't in his head. It was hidden deep inside his gut. And the solution came from an ancient Japanese monk's secret, a secret that Western medicine is only beginning to understand. Thomas's life became small. He stopped visiting his grandchildren because he didn't have the emotional energy to smile. He would sit in his favorite chair for hours, feeling a nameless dread, an electricity of anxiety that never stopped. He ate what he thought was healthy, like whole wheat bread and cereal. But his mood and his brain fog only got worse. He felt like a prisoner in his own mind, and the person who saw it most was his wife, Clara. "Thomas, what's wrong?" she would ask, her eyes full of worry. "You're not yourself anymore." But he had no answer. How do you explain a fog? How do you describe a feeling that something is fundamentally broken? He was frustrated, angry, and underneath it all, deeply sad. He thought this was his new normal, the end of his life. Thomas was deeply frustrated with his doctors. They just gave him more pills that made him feel like a zombie inside. None of the pills ever truly fixed the problem. They just hid the gray fog for a few hours. And nobody, not a single doctor, ever asked him about his food, his stomach, or his digestion. They looked at his head, but they ignored the real source of the fire, his gut. This feeling of being trapped by your own mood, this brain fog, is something millions of people over 60 suffer from in silence. They are told it's just age and that they must accept it, but that is not the truth. If you or someone you love has ever felt this way, this story is for you. This is a story of hope. We are about to reveal the hidden connection that modern medicine often ignores, the secret that can change everything. To follow this journey of discovery and to learn these powerful secrets, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Ring the bell so you don't miss what's next. Thomas's answer was closer than he ever imagined. Thomas's rock bottom came on his granddaughter's birthday. He was there, but he wasn't really present. The anxiety was so high, the hum in his mind so loud, that he could barely hear the happy birthday song. He felt empty, just a terrible static, unable to feel the joy of the moment. That night, he felt a level of despair he had never known. He felt completely defeated and ready to give up. It was in this darkness that he found the first clue, an old book left by his son. The book mentioned a Japanese concept called hara, which translates to the center of all energy. It said the gut was not just for digestion, but was the second brain, the true seat of emotions. This was a spark, the first idea that his anxious mind wasn't the source of the problem, but the victim. He had been looking for the cure in the wrong place. The problem wasn't in his head, it was on his plate. He began to research obsessively, and he found the writings of a 90-year-old Japanese monk who spoke of gut health. The monk described the gut as an internal garden and said that anxiety and depression were the weeds. To heal the weeds, you couldn't just cut them with pills. You had to change the soil itself. This concept changed everything for Thomas. He realized his garden was full of poison. The bread he ate, the processed foods, the hidden sugar, all of it was feeding the weeds in his mind. He was ready for a change. He was ready to clean up his garden, and that is how he found the first step. The monk's first step was called the weeding, and it was brutal. It was about pulling the weeds out by the root. This meant removing the foods that fed the inflammation and the brain fog. The poisons Thomas ate every day. The whole wheat bread he thought was healthy was the first to go, along with his sugary breakfast cereal. All the processed foods, the microwave dinners, and the cookies he ate late at night were thrown away. Clara, his wife, was shocked to see the empty pantry. "Thomas, what will we eat?" What are you doing?" He almost wavered. The convenience of those foods was an addiction, a comfort he used to mask his anxiety. The first 3 days were hell. Thomas felt irritable. He had headaches and a hunger that felt like a black hole. His body was screaming for the sugar and processed carbs it was addicted to. He thought about giving up 100 times. The fog seemed even thicker and the anxiety beat against his ribs like a trapped bird. He stared at the bakery across the street. The smell of fresh bread was torture, a test of his resolve. This is the moment where most people fail, the moment where the short-term addiction beats the long-term hope. The healing journey is not a straight line. It is deep valleys of doubt and withdrawal, just like Thomas was feeling. Getting over this first barrier is the most critical step to reclaiming your mind and your mood. If you are watching and you recognize this struggle, if you've tried to change and felt the resistance, know you are not alone. What Thomas did next wasn't about willpower. It was about a smart shift in strategy he learned from the monk. We are about to reveal what he added to kill the craving for the poison. And it's something you can do today. If you are getting value from this story, please hit the like button. It helps our community grow. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so we can continue this journey together and unlock the secret to healthy soil. On that third night of misery, Thomas reread the monk's book, searching desperately for an answer. He found the next instruction: do not fight the weeds on an empty stomach. Plant powerful flowers that choke them out. The monk explained the cravings came from a gut starving for nutrients, not for poison. The secret was not just to remove the bad, it was to flood the body with the good, and so he did. The next morning, instead of bread, Clara prepared what the monk called the golden food. It was a simple scramble of eggs, but mixed with a heaping teaspoon of bright yellow turmeric and a pinch of black pepper. Turmeric is perhaps the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory on the planet. It calms the fire in the gut and the brain. Along with it, they added healthy fats like avocado, which feed the brain and provide a feeling of satiety for hours. Thomas ate the meal, and for the first time in days, the gnawing hunger in his stomach went quiet. He had replaced the emptiness of processed carbs with the density of real, healing nutrients. The change was not instantaneous, but something profound began to happen. On the afternoon of the 5th day, he was sitting in his armchair, and suddenly, he noticed something. The hum, the constant electrical buzz of anxiety in his mind, was lower. It wasn't gone, but it was as if someone had turned the volume down from a 10 to a 6. He looked down at his own hands, and the fog in his brain seemed to thin for just a moment. He felt a pang of something he hadn't felt in years, a fleeting sense of peace. It was the first proof, the first light at the end of the tunnel, that the garden could be saved. The flowers were starting to grow, and the weeds were beginning to starve. Thomas was better, but he wasn't cured yet. The brain fog was stubborn. The anxiety no longer paralyzed him, but true joy still felt distant. He missed laughing for real. Feeling light, the home's volume was still at a 6. He felt functional, but not vibrant. He wanted his old life back, not just an okay version. He returned to the monk's teachings and realized his garden was clean, but it was still empty. The monk wrote, "Now that the weeds are gone, you must invite the guardians, the true workers of the garden." Thomas didn't understand at first. What guardians? What workers? He was about to discover the most powerful secret of gut health, something Western medicine ignored for decades. Thomas's inflammation was dropping, but the connection between his gut and brain was still damaged. Healing the mood isn't just about removing the bad. It's about actively rebuilding the good. The next step he discovered is what Japanese scientists call psychobiotics, the living allies of your mind. If you are learning from Thomas's journey, please give us a like to show your support. And don't forget to subscribe, because in the next part, we will reveal the final step that reconnected Thomas's brain. The monk was talking about probiotics, the good bacteria that are our body's army. Thomas's gut, after years of bad food and stress, was a desert. The good army was gone. He needed to repopulate his garden, and he found the answer in traditional fermented foods. Clara started buying plain unsweetened yogurt and sauerkraut, a sour fermented cabbage. He also learned about miso, a fermented soybean paste that the Japanese use in soups. At first, the taste was strange. It was sour and alive, very different from the dead food he used to eat. But he persisted. A small spoonful of sauerkraut at lunch, a bowl of miso soup at night. In the second week of this new routine, something miraculous happened. He was sitting on the porch with Clara, and a bird did something funny in the garden. Thomas let out a laugh, a real, deep-belly laugh that surprised him. Clara looked at him, her eyes watering. "Thomas, it's you. You're back." The gray fog broke, like clouds clearing after a storm. The hum of anxiety was no longer at a 6. It was at a 2, almost inaudible. He finally understood. He wasn't broken. He was just malnourished and unpopulated. He had weeded the garden. He had planted the flowers. And now, the guardians were there to protect his peace. But there was one last step, a step the monk called the garden path to the mind. Thomas was laughing again. The fog had lifted, and the anxiety was a distant whisper. He had weeded the garden, planted the flowers, and summoned the guardians. He was almost there. But the monk had one final warning, one that Thomas almost ignored. "The garden can be perfect," the monk wrote. "But if the path to the house is blocked, the master will not get the good news." The master was the brain, and the path was the physical connection between the gut and the head. He was talking about the vagus nerve, the information highway that sends calming signals from the gut to the brain. Thomas's chronic stress had shut down this highway. He needed to reopen it. He needed the third and final step of healing, what the monk called the signal of peace. We have followed Thomas from the rock bottom of anxiety to the brink of full recovery. We cleared the poison, added the healers, and repopulated the army of health. This final step is what links everything together. It's what ensures the peace in his gut becomes peace in his mind. This is the information that completes the puzzle, and it's why we are building this community. If you have been with us on this journey, please hit that subscribe button and join our Longevity Coffee family. Thank you for supporting our mission of sharing hope and health. Let's finish Thomas's story. The monk's signal of peace wasn't a food. It was a simple breathing exercise. It was a way to manually reactivate the vagus nerve, forcing the body into a state of calm. 3 times a day, Thomas would stop for just 2 minutes, close his eyes, and do diaphragmatic breathing. He would breathe in deeply through his nose for a count of 4, feeling his belly expand like a balloon. Then, he would breathe out slowly through his mouth for a count of 6. Longer on the way out than on the way in. This long exhale is a biological hack. It sends a direct message to the brain that says you are safe. The first time he did it, he felt a wave of relaxation he hadn't felt in a decade. He was finally reopening the highway, allowing the good news from his healed gut to reach his brain. The breath was the glue. It was what connected his new healthy soil with his clean mood. The hum of anxiety didn't just go to 2, it went to 0. The silence was beautiful. The fog didn't just lift, the sun was shining in his mind. Today, Thomas is no longer the broken man in the armchair. He is the grandfather playing on the floor with his grandkids. He and Clara take long walks, and he laughs easily. His mind is sharp, and his spirit is light. He got his life back, not with a magic pill, but by changing the soil of his internal garden. Thomas's story is proof that you are not broken. Your brain is not failing. Your garden might just be out of balance, overgrown with weeds and starving for the right nutrients. If Thomas's journey has given you hope and you are ready to take control of your own garden, join our community. Write in the comments, "I am in control," to celebrate your decision. Don't forget to share this video with someone who might be suffering in silence. You could change their life. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next cup of longevity.